You know, I personally think this was kind of enjoyable.
Those were up, and they did.
More smarts, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don J. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be for a film from last weekend, and it's for a film directed by the director of the two Quiet Place movies, John Krasinski, in his third directional feature, and this time it's not a horror movie, it's actually a family comedy movie. And this was one, so this is going to be for none other than none other than last weekend's If. Now, what's the plot of If? Well, this movie revolves around this young girl who goes through a difficult experience and begins to see everyone's imaginary friends that got left behind because their real-life friends grew up. So, yeah. Before I start this review, guys, I did record this yesterday, but when I was trying to clear space so I could get this uploaded, I accidentally deleted this video, and so this is a re-recording of everything. So yeah, this is why it's late, and another setback on the X-Men happened again. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get back to X-Men, so I can finally do First Class. I finished all the team rewatches, so I'll review the team films first, and then I'll get on with the with watches for the solo ones. Once I review all the team movies, because I have like 4 more to go. And then we'll be on to the solo movies. Now, anyway, back to the review. How was If made? This began around October 2019, when Paramount had outbid both Sony and Lionsgate for the rights to a movie which was going to be called Imaginary Friends. And it was a project developed by both Krasinski and Reynolds, and Krasinski would write and direct the movie. Then, 2 years later, in May 2021, Krasinski's production company and Reynolds' production companies, Sunday Night and Maximum Effort, signed first-look deals with Paramount Pictures. Then in October 2021, some cast members like Fiona Shaw and Phoebe Bridge joined the cast. And then in January 2022, Steve Carell, Alan Kim, Callie Fleming, and Louis Gossett Jr., may he rest in peace, joined the cast, and the film was retitled If. So, the film reunites Krasinski and Carell, because, which you know, both of them worked together in The Office from 2005 to 2013. Then it was around August 2022 when Bobby Moynihan was added to the cast, and Brad Pitt signed on to voice an invisible imaginary friend. Then filming began really in August 31st, 2022, when John uses Kaminsky as cinematographer, and then it was wrapped by May 2023. And animation director Arsen Oliver, VFX supervisor Chris Lawrence, they worked alongside Krasinski on set and during the productions. And the visual effects and animation were provided by Framestore, and the film score was done by Michael Giacchino. So anyway, after the film was shot and marketed, If was theatrically released by Paramount Pictures in the United States last weekend on May 17th, 2024, and the movie, it got mixed reviews from people. And, it did at the opening weekend box office. Same fate as The Fall Guy. I mean, it made slightly more than The Fall Guy, but apparently that ain't saying much. Yeah, but it was still number 1 at the box office. Now that's my reaction. I had heard of this movie, but when I saw the trailers, I was more mixed on it. Like, for one, now I do still like Ryan Reynolds as an actor, but the thing is, lately with his newest roles, he's been kind of playing just Deadpool in his newest roles lately, and I'm kind of gotten a bit worn out of the Deadpool humor at this rate. All of his recent roles, and it was and starting to kind of wish for him to go back to his like earlier roles when he wasn't just being Deadpool all the time. Let's go back to the roles like with Smoking Aces and Buried when he was playing serious roles. And two, like this movie, it had an egg concept. Another Imaginary Friends movie this year, we had that, and it was that shitty horror movie called Imaginary earlier this year in March, and it sucked. So I just wasn't sure what to think of this movie. But I went to see this for myself last weekend, and you know, this was enjoyable. I'm not going to lie. Really. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Now, did it have problems? Yes, sure. They were around the finale more. But I thought it was like, I personally think this is better than what people are calling it out to be. I mean, the reviews had me worried here, but honestly, I think this is better than people are calling this movie. I think there's way worse recent family movies than If. Like, I'll take this over Mutant Mayhem. I'll take this over Twerking Red or Lightyear. I'll take this over Strange Woken Wish. Or just anything modern Disney related in general. It was cute and harmless, I'll say that. It's like, now, some may call this more of a kid's film, but in all honesty, I think this is more of both it somewhat is, but somewhat also a film also geared to kind of adults that still have a child inside of them, but lost their way when they grew up and they became adults. Like, it's a movie for children inside of all of us. It's the ones who still have that glimmer of hope. Like, John Krasinski clearly still had that when he thought of directing this movie. That's basically what his character was in here. That's definitely not a negative thing. I think it's pretty endearing because that's something you don't really see in a lot of people anymore. It's like, and when you're wondering, what is the movie called If? Here's why, guys. Because the title If stands for Imaginary Friend for short. That's why the movie's called If. That's what it's short for. It's Imaginary Friends. And you know what this movie also reminded me of? When we were kids, like, you guys remember that 2000s Cartoon Network show, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? It's kind of like that in a way. Kind of the closest you'll get to a movie adaptation of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends if they ever did one. Except it's in live action. And unlike the comic relief in that show, speaking of that, guys, the comic relief is literally also in this one named Blue, ironically. So that's another reason why it reminds me of that. The comic relief at Foster's Home is named Blue. The comic relief character is a giant, more bigger blue character, and this time has both arms, legs, not just arms, and is not a blob. He's also named Blue. But this one, the Blue in this movie, is actually likable. And not a jackass, like the Blue in the show is. Now, when it comes to John Krasinski as a director, I do like him as a director. Okay, where did I put the... Oh, right, here they are. Yes, I do like John Krasinski as a director, especially considering this guy directed these two movies, which I liked both these movies. Yeah, I love both the Quiet Place movies, and this is going to sound weird to people. I like the second one more. I know people like the first one more, but personally, I think the second one's the best. Because, like, with this one, I love the first one, but the second one, we actually get to see how this whole thing started. Like, we get to see the families, like, how the family's day on day one was, like, how the whole creature invasion started, and we get to see some more survivors more. It's a little more open right here, and yeah, and plus there is a bit more dialogue this time, and I feel like Blunt actually gets more to do. Yeah, we actually get to see Emily Blunt's character do a little more in the part 2, so that's why I like part 2 more. Right there. And, like, Quiet Place Part 3, like, I'm excited for Quiet Place Day 1, but part of me is a little more excited for Quiet Place Part 3 to come out, like, the direct sequel to Part 2. Like, that's, like, one of the few horror films I'm still excited for in the future. Like, do you have some, let's like, Maxine Day 1 and Terrifier 3 are the ones I'm excited for coming out this year, but after that, like the only one just after that I'm excited for is part 3 of A Quiet Place. Quiet Place Part 3. That's it for future horror movies. Like, but I swear to God, though, they better not kill off Emily Blunt's character. But I wouldn't be surprised. It's Hollywood, so I wouldn't be fucking surprised if they do that. But they better not. Wouldn't be surprised if they do, though, considering how Hollywood likes to do that in franchises. But anyway, back to this review. There's no major surprise plot twists like in this film. Like, it's not like a big surprise in this film. But there is some unexpected amount of emotional weight here. The backstory of the mother is implied rather than shown. The relationships get portrayed rather than just hammering us over the head. Now, anyways, guys, how does our movie start? Well, our protagonist of this movie is a 12-year-old named B who moves into her grandmother Margaret's apartment in New York while her dad is waiting for heart surgery in the same hospital her mother died of cancer years earlier. Like one night, though, B goes out to buy a charger for her mother's old camcorder, and she sees a strange creature and follows it back to her grandmother's building. Then the next day, she sees the creature again, and it's accompanied by a man named Cal, played by Ryan Reynolds. B follows them both to a nearby house, and the man is retrieving a large furry purple creature named Blue, voiced by Steve Carell. She meets the other creature, the butterfly-like being named Blossom, which was voiced by someone I'll get to later, and faints. Then she awakens back in Cal's apartment, and she learns that he has been working with imaginary friends that are nicknamed IFs. And they're working to place them with new children because their original children grew up and forgot about them. B is reluctant though, but she decides to help Cal. So yeah, that's pretty much how the concept of the movie goes. Like this girl's father, John Krasinski's character, who plays the girl's father in this movie, he's in the hospital most of the film, and then like most of the movie, it's her, Ryan Reynolds' character, this other kid named Benson that she's interacting with most of the film. Like basically, her and Reynolds are helping these imaginary friends that lost their now grown-up friends. Yeah, it's like similar to the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends show. And the giant blue creature, like I said, like the blue creature in that show is also named Blue, but this Blue's not a brat. This Blue's not a narcissist because I despise the Blue character in Foster's Home. I think he's an asshole. Fuck him. So yeah, the Blue character here is not annoying. Like when I saw the trailer, that when it comes to like who voices him, like he's voiced by Steve Carell, but surprisingly when I saw the trailers, at first I thought it was Zach Galifianakis voicing him when I saw the trailers, till I finally saw the cast list, and I realized it was actually Steve Carell doing the voice. But yeah, this character was surprisingly not annoying. His comedy didn't overly hog the movie as much as I was worried it was probably going to. And when it comes to Ryan Reynolds' performance in this movie, are there any Deadpool moments here? Well, surprisingly, there was like little. So it felt refreshing to find for the first time in a while to see Ryan Reynolds actually not trying to play Deadpool in his roles, like because like that's now I still like him as an actor, but I was kind of starting to get kind of tired of the Deadpool shtick. So in a lot of his newer roles, like Free Guy, The Adam Project, his cameo in Hobbs and Shaw even had like Deadpool shtick moments. Like I just kind of wanted him to just go back to go back to playing like normal characters, like the ones he did in Smoking Aces or Buried, or hell, even the Green Lantern movie. He's not playing Deadpool in that film. You know he hates that film, but yeah. So it was nice to see. So it was nice to see him not. So it's nice to not see that stuff for once. It was nice to see him actually playing a normal character here. He still has some moments of comedy, but they're not frequent. On the sad side of the cast, though, now we get to who voices Blossom. The one that interested me the least, and it was why I was not as interested in this one. Our other character, Blossom, she's not annoying. No, she's not an annoying character, but the reason why she was the least interesting, she's voiced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yes. The chick who played that bitchy character Helena from Indiana Jones and Diary of Disney last year. Yes. That is literally her. I don't like her as an actress. I'm not a fan of her as an actress or even a writer. She has habits of putting in propagandas in her films and roles. And guys, like, this is the chick that played that feminist droid in Solo, which I thought sucked ass. And apparently I found out last year that she helped write No Time to Die, the last James Bond movie. I like No Time to Die. No, I don't think it's the best James Bond movie out there. There's way better James Bond movies, like Skyfall was better, Casino Royale was better, and stuff, but that was infuriating news to hear. I guess now people realize why Bond died. Those who weren't happy about it, now they know exactly why he got killed off. She probably wanted that to happen. So that just kind of ruins the emotional impact now for me. Knowing exactly who probably wrote the scene, so that we could have a crappy version of Bond for the next timeline. And then, of course, she played Helena. One of the most despisable fucking characters in a while. You want to know what that character in Indiana Jones 5 does? Oh, treats Indy like fucking crap because he's too old. Leaves him to die in his library. Laughs and doesn't give a fuck when Indy literally says his friend died. Has a shitty short round imposter who is an annoying brat in hell. You should just call him shit round instead. Not short round, shit round. Just trying to badly be Ki Kwan. Only Ki Kwan plays short round. Get the fuck out of here. Should have just got Ki Kwan back instead of this chick. Could have had him and short round actually do one last adventure together. Maybe I wouldn't mind it. But knowing Disney and Kathleen Kennedy, they probably would have ruined short round as well. So maybe Ki Kwan lucked out. And plus they had the reunion at the Academy Awards and everything everywhere all at once won Best Picture. So at least they still got him and Harrison actually got to have an actually proper non-Disney reunion. Oh, another thing about Helena, guys. You want to know how she saves Indy's life? Punches him in the fucking face. At the very end of the movie. And that's how they get back home. Yeah, fuck Indiana Jones 5. Piece of shit. And another thing, now back to If. And another thing about If. You know modern Pixar. This felt way more Pixar than anything they've done recently. Both this and another movie called Mitchell's vs. the Machines, which was one of Sony Animation's films on Netflix. Both these movies feel way more modern Pixar than just about anything they've done recently. Like If, which is directed by and stars John Krasinski, like most older Pixar films, it presents this unique story and concept. Like, it's a young girl who, after difficult experiences, sees everyone's long-forgotten imaginary friends. And it's an inventive concept that's handled with a mix of whimsy and serious adult themes. Like, Krasinski's a voluminous director, writer, and actor clearly shows here. It signals his deep personal connection to the project. Ryan Reynolds even stands out, brings this layer of performance that adds depth and some minor bits of humor to the film here. And yeah, like, this felt way more Pixar than anything that studio did recently. And when I say that, I mean it's in their old age when they gave a fuck about their movies. And they made good stuff like the Toy Story trilogy, Monsters Incorporated, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Inside Out, Coco, and Soul. It felt like those films again. Now they make shit like the ones I mentioned at the beginning, Twerking Red, Lightyear. I did not see Elemental because I probably don't really have much interest in watching it. And apparently, yeah, I know they're making an Inside Out 2, and I think it looks like fucking crap. Because I saw the trailers, and it looks horrible. It looks lazy. And honestly, I don't know. People were like, we want an Inside Out 2. Here's something, guys. I did not. We did not need an Inside Out 2. And Bob Iger said, we're going to do more Pixar sequels. Yeah, they said Toy Story 4 would be their last Pixar sequel. That was a fucking lie because they're doing now more. Because we're getting Toy Story 5. Because now we need 5 Toy Story films. Even though we don't. We didn't even need a Toy Story 4 either. Like, what's next? They're going to make a sequel to Twerking Red? Probably. Even though, like, because now even box office bombs are getting sequels. Now, back to this review, though. Like, a lot of the ifs in this movie, the imaginary friends, yeah, they definitely felt like imaginative. And they definitely seem like they'd be perfect imaginary friends. Like, it definitely helps that Krasinski has this juggernaut voice talent like Steve Carell here. And so, yeah, after B agrees to help Cal, Cal then takes B to Memory Lane Retirement Home, which is a retirement community for the imaginary friends that's underneath this merry-go-round in Coney Island. Right when they get there, he introduces B to Lewis, who's this elderly teddy bear, as the head of the facility. He inspires B to use her imagination, redesign the facility, and to the charging of Cal, though, after running down the hallways, winded up in the music video for Tina Turner's Better Be Good to Me. Rest in peace, Tina Turner, as well. And it has been the ifs just running on stage and dancing, and which is surprisingly this really well done shot moments here. And during the course of the film, B also befriends this other boy in the hospital named Benjamin. Whenever she goes to the hospital to visit her dad, she'll often visit him as well. She meets him there, and B decides to match one of the ifs with him. So she, Cal, Lewis, they audition all the ifs, but sadly, he can't see any of the ifs, so B's unmotivated, and so B talks with Lewis at the Coney Island Pier again, that it gives her an idea that maybe ifs do not need new kids. They need to reunite with their old ones. So, B talks with her grandmother after that, later that night, and she sees a picture of her as this young dancer and recognizes Blossom in the background of the picture, and then realizes Blossom was her grandmother's if. So B decides to test Lewis's idea. She plays one of her grandmother's records, inspires Margaret to dance, and then she remembers Blossom and instills B with hope. Right there. So yeah, and all these imaginary characters, they were very cool designed, and as for their voice actors, well, you got some great voice actors, and you got some voice actors that I'm not big fans of. For the good ones, you have ones voiced by Louis Gossett Jr., may he also rest in peace. You got George Clooney, Emily Blunt, Bradley Cooper, Matt Damon, Bill Hader, Richard Jenkins, Sam Rockwell even. I like all these guys. You also have minor ones that thankfully don't appear much in the movie. There's one voiced by Awkwafina. And I'm tired of her annoying ass. I think she's really annoying. But she only has 2 scenes in the film. And then you have Amy Schumer. And unfortunately, I'm also not a fan of Amy Schumer either. I also think she's not funny. I think she's also extremely annoying as hell. I just don't think she can act. And even Amy's cameo scene was one of my least favorite of the Imaginaries. Because, her cameo is literally a gummy bear. And this gummy bear has a cringy fart joke, which I did not like and did not laugh at all. Basically, when the fart joke happens, the main characters are one of the main characters, I could taste it in my eyes. Did not like that. That was not funny. You did not need that. Then you have the animator, the animators bring these characters to life well, though, and you have the combination of those voices and the performances with the animators. They're the digital performance in, and we see, and what we see here is also really great, it's definitely it's definitely not like I was fearing in the trailers, and a lot of the best Pixar movies, it has, 2 hats, running through at the same time, you got the movie... you got the movie the kiddies will like, that the kiddies are being entertained by. You also got the movie the adults are watching, enjoying, and crying at. Yeah, so it's both those 2 strands. You go through the movie and interweave with each other, and it's almost perfectly, it's 2 movies at once, one for the adults, one for the kids, and they blend together pretty well. And when it comes to CGI, most modern movies have gross, ugly CGI at times here. It was not obvious here, and the CGI was not gross for once. It's one of the better CGI in today's world. It's not like with Flash and Indiana Jones 5. It was nice to see here, but yeah, the CGI here works because there's a lot of imaginary friends that are CGI characters. So the CGI stands really well, and you can see why there's CGI here. You can't make imaginary friends real, so you gotta make them animated. Yeah, it's not like the fucking butt-ugly CGI in those crappy movies from last year. Especially not like The Flash, where he had AI cameos, and what's worse is even Nick Cage confirmed that none of his scenes in The Flash are even his, and he was not even in the movie at all. Which is already an infuriating red flag to hear. In Indiana Jones 5, where you have this younger Indy being literally played in the beginning scene by this 80-year-old Harrison Ford. And you could tell because he still has his 80-year-old voice in the scene still, so they don't even try to hide that. Yeah, it's a younger Harrison Ford, and still has the voice of an 80-year-old. So yeah, the CGI in If is actually good compared to any of last year's trash. And it's a family film, and it's one that delivers this important message about maintaining imagination through life, and not allowing the joys of a child to be taken away as such a matter to diminish creative sparks and joys. Like, it's made more impactful by the tremendous acting of Kaylee Fleming. Like, she does terrific in the role of Bee, and her on-screen chemistry with Ryan Reynolds is also great throughout the film. So yeah, after Bee regains hope, Bee, Cal, and Blue follow this tip, and they find Blue's original kid named Jeremy. He's now a grown man. He's trying to launch a business. Eventually, their initial attempt fails. So Bee and Cal then succeed in reminding Jeremy of Blue and reuniting them. And this gives Jeremy the confidence he needs to nail a presentation. Then Bee returns home that evening, but unfortunately, Margaret is frantic and tells Bee that her father's operation is not going well, so Bee rushes upstairs to Cal. Cal comforts her. Bee says she doesn't want to say goodbye to her dad, so Cal tells her that she should tell him a story instead. And right here, guys, like, this is kind of where the movie kind of falls apart. Because as decently good as this film was, this is where it started to fall apart, because this next bit just felt lazy, predictable. It's with these kind of scenes that in a lot of kids' movies, you know exactly how stuff's going to go. Basically, how the scene goes is Bee goes to the hospital, and it looks like her father is just unconscious, but he's clearly sleeping. And she tells her father how she tried to be a grown-up, but her father kept trying to bring fun into her life, and she still needs him, and that wakes him up. So Bee goes to tell her grandmother, and she realizes the ifs have vanished. Yeah, so it pretty much does the Disney death cliche with Krasinski's character. And honestly, I don't think you needed to do that. Because, like, if this movie, it's obvious he's still alive the minute this scene happens. So, it's really not that emotional. I didn't really feel any emotion at the end of the scene because I knew he was gonna wake up in that moment. I've seen plenty of this. I've seen this scene millions of times. Disney death is a horrible cliche. It's lazy. It's pretentious, and it's just done to get cheap tears to the audience. It especially doesn't work when you have a shitty animated movie. And a lot of shitty animated movies really do it, especially with characters you don't like. Like, many films do. There's been many films that do it. It's like Frozen did it, Lilo and Stitch 2 did it, the Ted movies do this, The Jungle Book did this. The fucking nut job did this movie, and that was just pissed me off because the main character who got that cliche was a fucking asshole in that movie, so I could care less if he died. Like, Deadpool 2 somewhat did this, but that was supposed to be a parody. They're like, the one time this cliche works was WALL-E and Short Circuit 2. Short Circuit 2 and WALL-E both did this cliche. Similarly, they did it, but both of them actually worked. They were not cheap. They were not just 6 seconds dead, then he's back. No, like, it looks like these guys are dead. Like, when it comes to Short Circuit 2, like, Johnny Five, you all know, if you've seen it, Johnny Five was smashed by the bad guys, and so he's running low on battery power, but he apprehends them, and then his battery power runs out, and then Ben revived him with the hospital little press stains, and through the hospital press stains, and his battery goes recharges. Then Wally tries to hold it a hole detector, but Otto like forced to close it, and Wally's crushed to death, and he was already near dead because Otto zapped his battery thing, and he was on low battery. So then once the Haxon gets back to Earth, Eve immediately goes, repairs him. Then, yeah, Wally does come back to life, but it looks like he's really dead because his memory is gone. And they make it last longer for like a few more seconds. That's why it works in those movies. Right there. Like, the only reason Wally comes back is because Eve briefly kissed him, and that regains his memory right there. They actually do it. Those two movies actually did it realistic. They're not cheap and lazy like a lot of movies seem to. Now just every movie seems to want to do because Wally was so successful at it now. And honestly, you really think Krasinski's gonna kill himself off in a children's flick? He killed his character off in the first Quiet Place movie, which honestly I don't think he needed to kill him off in that movie either. Kind of wish they didn't. But But then again, he's also directing the movie, so it'd be kind of impossible to direct and act in a movie and your sequel at the same time. But honestly, this is a children's flick, though. He's not going to kill himself off. And yeah, plenty of mentor father figures die in kids' films, but with this kind of movie, I don't think they'd do something like that here. So yeah, that's why this part is pretty predictable. And then this rest of the finale just kind of got sluggish because it's like they couldn't really figure out how to end the movie. So like, here's the finale. So, Bea and her dad get released from the hospital, and they're packing up to go back home. Bea tries to go up and say goodbye to Cal, but no one answers the door. The landlady hears Bea knocking, and it turns out it was an old storage room. And while they're packing her things, like, Bea finds this picture she painted of herself, her and her parents, and a clown named Calvin. And it turns out Calvin was never a real person. He was also an imaginary friend, just not a computer-animated one. A the only live-action imaginary friend in the movie. And it was her own if, just forgotten after the death of her mother. She then closes her eyes and it restores her ability to see the ifs, and reunites with Cal briefly. And then, of course, you get a little montage of the other ifs reuniting with the original kids, and of course, like Keith, which turns out Keith was the if of Bea's father, and then Benjamin finally gets to see his own if and befriend his own if. It's a dragon with glasses. And that's pretty much how the movie ends. And honestly, it was kind of the end. The finale was kind of my least favorite bit of the film. Do I have other bad qualities with the movie? Yes. The scenes with her and the dad, they were the least interesting in my eyes because just most of the movie he's in the hospital and he doesn't get much screen time. So I just didn't really care for their scenes. The scenes I was more interested in were the scenes with Bea and Cal more. I felt those parts just felt more enjoyable in a way. And I do wish the scenes with most of the ifs, some of the ifs I wish got to have a bit more screen time. We got to know more about some of them. Like, some of them were cool design, like Space Dog and more. Most of the ones we focus on are Blossom and Blue, and even Blue doesn't really get much screen time either. And the posters make it look like he's the main character. So the marketing for him just felt misleading. And yeah, and the film struggles a bit with balance because it attempts to weave together lighthearted elements with more heavier topics. It does work at times, but there's also times where it does feel a little uneven. So yeah, other than those, as well as the finale I'm not a fan of, I still decently liked If. I did have problems with it, but it's better than a lot of people are calling this movie. And I think anyone with kids, anyone who has kids, I think your kids would like this movie a lot. It's pretty harmless, it's not crude, there's no cringy modern references in here, it's pretty lighthearted too, so I think even both kids and some adults would probably enjoy this movie. So, in the end, If is a stream online because while it's enjoyable and harmless, it still has major setbacks that prevent it from being overly great, which is true. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of If. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank If, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you are a fan of stuff like the old Pixar, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, or even want to remember the days of having imaginary friends, then I would just stream this one online because as well as that's good as it has its fair share of problems every once in a while. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank If, I'm going to give If a 7 out of 10. There we go, guys. That wraps up my review for If. I finally got this done. And now I want to know in the comments below for those who saw the movie what you thought of it. Whether you thought it was bad, whether you thought it was great, or whether you had the same score as I do. I'm interested to know in the comments down below. And until then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.